G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talks Stuff. When it comes to relationships, men get the short end of the stick. Yet there are conversations that keep reoccurring, especially social demands and irregularities, with said demands. Once you see it, once you experience it, you can't unsee it or unname it. Plenty of men are tired of watching these tropes play out over and over again in their life. These are one of the 20 reasons why men are walking away. That's right, men aren't asking for a victory parade. We are right, we know we're right. We're not asking for sympathy. We don't want your emotional, childish games anymore. We are walking away. We are done with your egregious double standards. You will not listen to us. You keep doubling down. So men will keep walking away. 1. Vulnerability. Men are told to open up more and have been told to open up more since the 90s. What has happened since the 90s? The desirability of men has lowered. Yet, the worse things get, the more women demand men be vulnerable. Yet when matters go bad, when men are at their most vulnerable and ask for a woman's help, women are dismissive or suddenly disrespectful. This mixed messaging does not build trust. It is why men are walking away. And you can't blame men for walking away. Confidence. Normally, a confident man would be praised in a, let's say, progressive society. I mean it. A progressive society would want progress. They would want confident men to achieve, because achievement continues society's progress. To what goal? To what end? Well, women have hijacked every movement and rewritten it to powerful women. And confidence is attractive unless it's in a man. Men get labelled as arrogant, distant, work-obsessed, and blamed for not being there when you're needed the most. So, it's not my fault. I cheated. You just weren't there when I needed you. So, that's why men are walking away. 3. Paying the bills. Paying the bills. Seems to be modern dating is about, modern dating is about equity. They talk a big game about equity, right? But when it comes time to pay the bills, women literally push the bill into a man's hand. And they'll put their hand on your leg like they're a house cat, because they don't want to beg. They don't want to accept responsibility either. Plenty of men are expected to pay, and by default, most are simply seen as a character flaw if they cannot afford that $500 meal for her and her 5 friends. Something old-fashioned and mandatory, yet outdated at the same time. And women wonder why men are walking away. Strength is expected until it isn't. Men are expected to be a rock, a protector, a provider, a lion. Not only in the boardroom, but in the bedroom. However, when it comes to strength, knowledge, men are not allowed to be strong. He has to be weak, timid, and at all times submissive to a woman. This is exhausting. Men are tired of this double standard and are walking away. Body positivity. Men are tired of body positivity. Most men know it. Certain genetic types will get podgy around the middle, whether they're 40 or 50 or 60. It doesn't matter, it's predictable as male pattern baldness. Some will delay the inevitable, others seem to cheat the defiance of genetics. Because remember, genetics is only disposition, not a guarantee. But however, there is a mighty backlash when you talk about women having even the slightest little pinch to their ever so perfect forms. And of course, a woman with a little bit of meat on the bone is a perfect thing. She's gorgeous at any size, except when it's a man, and then you are too short, too fat, you're too heavy, or you're just not doing it for her. Men's bodies are treated as casual entertainment. Men are walking away. Career ambition is powerful, comrades, only when it's in the woman. When it's in a woman, it's admirable and empowering. Ambition in a man, however, is emotionally unavailable, obsessed with status, and a toxic masculinity. So, and the sign of toxic masculinity, remember, being on time to work is racist. Mass is racist. So you wonder why career men do not want to date career women. Full stop. Unless, of course, they have ulterior motives. Men displaying caution around children. We all know that a man can be destroyed by one accusation. However, if you happen to be involved in the workplace and children, men are always under observation, scrutinized with sideward glances. Any man physically or mentally engaged with children has looked at them for more than a second is suspected as a woman of being a predator. So more and more men are leaving child education. Men are abandoning their children because of their mothers complaining they spend too long with the children. You're scaring them, you're hurting them. So men are giving up. There's no good behaviour, there's no correct behaviour, there is no presumption of innocence. Because protecting the children and paranoid delusions supersede logic. Of course, emotion first. So men are walking away. Number 8. Reserve. Most men are, what you would say, reserved, stoic, or just sometimes unflappable. They just, fire's going, and the whole room explodes around them, and they just get up, grab the nearest victim, and head on out and just keep doing it. A quiet man, however, is often told he has to communicate better, to stop being so hard to read, to open up more, to be more emotional. But if he becomes an animated person, he's immediately aggressive, too intense. Sorry, ladies, you can't have it both ways. You cannot have the ideal Soviet man. Men come in different shapes, sizes, and thoughts. You are the reason why men are walking away. And it is. Feminism latched on to communism, and feminism has latched on to the idea of the Soviet man, the perfect man. 9. Standards. When a woman has standards, she's stunning and brave. When a man has standards, he's picky. And the women say beggars can't be choosers. So you can't have it both ways, ladies. When men set boundaries, they mean it. They don't want a alley cat who comes home at all hours of the night, who has loyalty to no one or anything, who leaves all responsibility or cares behind when they leave the door, whose panties fall off for every Tom, Dick and Harry, and yet she expects him to be a monk. No, you're a deal breaker, and men are walking away. Chivalry. Once upon a time, chivalry was the reward for chastity. Okay, if you were a good woman of good standing, a chaste woman, a moral citizen, even if you were slightly overweight, you were not seen as a glutton. No, there are specific terminologies for everything. But chivalry was a reward. Society had sets of rules. And when these rules were met, relationships would progress. And as a lot of social rules, women said, those were rooted in old gender roles and stereotypes. Yet when a man doesn't open the door, she is immediately tapping her heel and thumbing her nose at him and huffing and puffing and heavy breathing, and soon has one of her little headaches. Sorry, ladies, if the rules are not dead, your heart is dead. The game is not the rules you set whenever it's convenient. That is why men are walking away. Shall I do? Yes. Male loneliness. Male loneliness is a hot topic. A lot of men are not really lonely. It's called self-imposed isolation, because there are many men who succeed as in solo endeavours without the external help of women. Yes, we do better, but when you're carrying the emotional weight of a ungrateful, butterfly, a social butterfly who prefers dinner parties, doesn't care about, really cares about achievements, you have to be able to entertain her, and somehow magically all your wealth just magically appears and flows in her direction. It's like manna. It's the land of milk and honey for her. Well, you have to do all the hard work and work around her. No, when men talk about loneliness, they are isolated by women. So, does it make sense for men to talk up when they're lonely? Because either they're abused or ignored. And I'm not talking about men opening up to men. There are plenty of men whose eyes and ears are open and ask genuinely if you're okay, and genuinely take an interest in you as a friend. But women only want you to emotionally open up to them as a pathway for them to dump everything onto you. You absorb all their emotional pain, take all the emotional damage, and then they're happy because it's like you're their punching bag. So no, men rather would be lonely and succeed solo than know greater success as a family, because that greater success comes at a cost, knowing that the time is ticking down to when they are butchered like a pig. So no, the reason why men are lonely is because there's no one they can trust. Women have destroyed trust, and that is why men are walking away. Assertiveness. When men dominated in the fields, women used to be, oh my, he can plow a good plow. But over time, propaganda has set in. So women draw a line at men who are strong, focused, have clear goals, easy to read. In fact, they're open. But when men are open, assertive, know what they want, and they are clear in that they don't, nope, today's a work day, I'm not taking the day off just to go shopping with you. No, when they have clear rules, clear boundaries, and they're assertive, that is a no-no. You're just intimidating, controlling. You don't take my feelings into account. So even if his points are reasonable, like, it's my job, I'm a fireman, I have to go in odd hours. I'm not a 9-to-5er. So, yes, anything that matters to men are dismissed. Your assertiveness is laughed off as toxic masculinity. So you wonder why men are walking away. It's like the word toxic masculinity is used to describe a man who can't be controlled. Men are expected to lead until they're not. This happens commonly in relationships, particularly when you initiate romance. If you are too soon, too late, miss the mark, don't hit the right spot, make all the plans, leave no room for flexibility and spontaneity, you are a toxic masculinity. You are engaged in toxic masculinity. You're not flexible. You're not taking her feelings into consideration. You're mocked behind your back, sometimes to your face, as a bully. And if you're too forward, you get told, the word spreads, you're a sex pest. You know, that's absolutely ridiculous when you look at some women's DMs full of dicks and they're choosing them like they're shopping for cucumbers. It is absolute hypocrisy. So no, women, particularly, tell women to block every man, to if you see a dick pic, report it, that sort of thing. You're mocked as a prude or just jealous. It's just the internet. No. The red flags are everywhere. Men are seeing them everywhere, so they're walking away. 14. Financial pressure. Men are under constant financial pressure. We know we have X amount of time to make X amount of buku, because buku is the only thing that works in this society that you know with 100% guarantee will get you what you want. There is nothing else in this world that gets you what you want. You may say violence. No, violence gets you money. Work gets you money. Money is the currency, the actual mechanism of trade. You work to get paid. You trade goods, but it's trade. It still has a financial pressure, right? This is why things have a set value, so you can plan ahead. But if you plan ahead, create partnerships and deals and try to build wealth, you're harshly judged. If you don't earn enough, if you're seen as financially struggling, if you are not, if you don't have a stable income, you're seen as unstable. If you make lots of money, women can even suspect you of being unscrupulous. You can't win. And if you're wealthy, the wealthier you get, the faster they want to spend it. And eventually, they want to butcher you like a pig and take the fat. Imagine if the tables were turned. Men staying at home, talking about how they need to raise the children. They're done with work. It's too hard. I'm going to take a 6-hour consulting job on Wednesday, or I'm going to do 3 teaching sessions a week. Or worse, only tutor in the afternoons to, could you imagine an old man? Saying, "I'm only going to tutor young ladies in tennis." It's all right when a woman wants to, get with the tennis instructor, right? See, when the tables are turned, you see how unreasonable women become. So, yeah. Financial pressures never leave men, yet women put it all on you, and if you do not meet their expectations, this is the fallacy of numbers must go up. It's why we have a problem in society of numbers must go up. Anger is demonized. You're not allowed to have emotions. Women flap their gums all the time at the drop of a dime. You dropped a sock on the floor. Boom! You left the toilet seat on. Boom! There's dust on the TV. Boom! You go to work tired and you got scratches on your face, and they ask, "Oh, how'd you start a fight?" I said, "Calm down. What's wrong?" Whack! Wow. Oh boy, you're a demon. You didn't say, "Honey, I recognise your feelings. When you're ready, unload on me." And they take out their frustrations on you, their mental frustrations and their anger out on you constantly. This is why single mothers, increasingly, you see in hospitals, children with bent, broken arms, bruises, and society won't talk about the fact that the majority of children are damaged by their mothers, their single mothers, who psychologically damage their children. Now, these emotional outbursts are not natural. Neither is teenage rebellion. These are all cliches created to keep society unstable. And you wonder why men who've never raised a voice in their life know they can deal with stress by engaged in their favourite activities, or by fishing, or by hunting, shooting. Men know how to deal with their stress most of the time. It's the fact that women are so unpredictable with their anger, yet it's male anger that's demonised. Yet male anger is pretty predictable. You do something to a man wrong and he's going to be angry, even if he doesn't show it. Where women, they love to show they're angry. They love to get angry about things that don't mean anything to them. Heck, every day go on social media and see how many women are going on and on about some politician they've never met who doesn't even affect their life, and they've got the most outrageous things to say. Joy Behar. So, moving on. Domestic effort. Domestic effort. If you are a man who cooks, cleans, and organises, handles kids to school, juggles your job and domestic duties, you think you're going to get a plus? No, you're the doormat. You're in a win for surprise. You're not going to get complimented. You're not going to get an extra nookie or a kiss on the cheek. No. You're a good little boy. Pat on the head and she'll sleep very quietly and very comfortably. If you think you're going to, a woman will pat you on the back or head or give you any sort of acknowledgement. No, you're just doing the basics. You have to go, and if you want to be treated like a king, you have to treat her like a queen. You have to do everything just to get a boy. That's hypocrisy, particularly when the amount of outside yard work is not included in domestic work, nor is your job. It's your job to provide her. That's how she sees it. So you wonder why men are walking away. Protection. Men are expected to be protective. Just here's the problem though. Don't own a gun. That's intimidation. Don't, as a police officer, wear your belt around the house all the time. That's intimidation. Protection, but feminists view protection as your duty. You have to die for her. But when you actually engage in anything physical, or it comes at a cost of everything. It can cost you nothing at first, the first couple of times, but eventually fear kicks in. Men feel fear just like women. The problem is, if you feel fear, you're a sissy. If women feel fear, you have to protect them, even though those fears are natural and unfounded. You have to deal with all their psychological problems, all their personality flaws, and you even have to pick fights and defend their honour, even though you're 40 and he's 18. He's got 20 friends with him and you've got nothing. You can't own a gun because it scares her. And the next thing you know, there's someone breaking in downstairs, call the police and, bar the door. But, yeah. It's why so many men are walking away. They're sick and tired of women and their double standards. They want to protect her, but then they take away all your tools of protection. And if you're violent, you're too violent. You got to fight in front of the kids. I'm not speaking from personal experience. I'm looking at a large number of personal experiences summarized in my research. Now, compliments. Compliments are rare, criticism isn't. If you dare criticize a woman, you dare to fail to compliment her, if you fail to notice new shoes, new hair, new makeup, any changes whatsoever, any day you do not go without telling her how much you feel or desire her, you are now suddenly sidelocked. Men don't need coddling. Women need constant coddling to the point of emotional weakness. Men are worn down. And when they're worn down, they become emotionally weak. And when men become emotionally weak, they don't want to be around the source of this toxicity because they know emotional weakness leads to mental instability. So, also, there is no do me a favour, thank you. It's almost used as an insult. Oh, I'd thank you to leave the toilet seat down. But no, actually, it is one of those weaknesses that women have. They think, oh, it's going to be closed, it's going to be sealed up, it'll keep all the germs in. No, sunlight, it's the cure, man. You don't let things build up. You stick those chemicals in there, you don't leave it, you don't shut the lid. You do, right? You put it all in, let it all go, you flush it, and then you let all the smell out, you let the air the whole place. And yes, sometimes men in the middle of the night will leave the seat up. It's just why women have to be so obsessed with the toilet seat. And it's not just the toilet seat. It's every little thing, every criticism, right? Every little thing you've forgotten. That time you forgot. Women have a Rolodex in their head of everything you forgot. From A to Z. From Monday to Tuesday. From 1990 to 2060. They'll just keep on recording, There seems to be some sort of revenge mechanism, but I think it's a corruption of social calendar, that women can organise a social calendar, but they've turned it into revenge for some reason. It's like, instead of remembering the patterns of your routines, they're remembering, normally, when humans recognise problems and they avoid them, like going, don't stick your hand in the fire. Well, women seem to use that able to verbalize and categorise their internal voice of their warning systems. And because they can't be silent, they can't be self-analysing, it's always externalised. So I don't think it's quite something women can overcome naturally, but it's like crime. Most good people recognise that this is a bad behaviour. If you're not grateful, right? If you're completely ungrateful throughout life, and this is the main thing men have with women is they're ungrateful for anything extra, for any favour, for any special occasion. You're expected to set aside your entire life for them. So any wonder why men are walking away? So men are told to respect women's boundaries, while your boundaries are constantly tested. Respecting boundaries should be a universal standard. Like, okay, Muslims have a standard. You don't go to their countries and insult their prophet. Yet they come here and it's the same with men and women, right? Men may take off their shirt, flop back and relax. No, that's manspreading. Men sometimes get a little technical and detaily. Women laugh it off as mansplaining. You point out a woman over-relying on or being too quick on the accelerator, over-relying on momentum, when they sit in the accelerator, they don't back off, they don't increase, for the hills or anything like that, just carry with momentum, get ready to put the foot on the brake. That's about it, maybe. They drive like there's never any traffic issues. And when they are in traffic, they just crawl. There's never any urgency or agency. It's like they're in their own world. That's a real boundary for women. Don't tell women how to drive because they are engaged in their safety mode. And this is a boundary to not threaten their safety. And because driving and survival is engaged, it's a boundary. Yet, make a man discomfortable about telling him where to go while he's driving? Well, they laugh it off. Well, you're not paying attention. They'll decline if you have clear standards on dress, and she gets a sloppy Joe or wears your shirt or starts to do a bit of button and shows a bit of lace, and you say you're uncomfortable with the behaviour, they brush it off and decline affection. You tell a woman to stop flirting with other men, they decline affection, and they'll tell you they need space. Boundaries don't exist for women. They only exist for men. Women do not see anything other than their personal safety as a barrier, right? They see this barrier around them of personal safety. Don't violate their personal space. But their self-gratification, their needs and goals must be met. So they don't have a boundary. This is why we have moral standards as a used to have moral standards as a code in schools. But men are told to respect women's boundaries while their own get tested all the time, where women will find out where your barriers are and constantly niggle them down until you back off. And then they walk all over you, and that's why men are walking away. Last but not least is accountability. Women can demand men be accountable for getting her pregnant, even just for having sex with her. Paying the bills. It's your bill. It's your house, your bills, right? You're the provider. Go out and get a job. The problem is, you can't ask that of a woman. Sure, there are historical times where men, and this happened in China, Greece, Rome, most of the African world, where men sold their wives, daughters, and eventually children into labour. Now, every country did this, but I'm saying it was predominantly like a belt right through the so-called trade route, the major trade route in the world that went from Harbin through Ukraine all the way down into Turkey, across the Middle East, as well as Iran and into Egypt and all the way down to the tip of South Africa. This great trade route, right, that forked up into Turkey and Bulgaria and all the way through to Paris and London. This mythical dragon line of the world saw the worst of humanity. And it wasn't race, colour, or creed. But there was one commonality. Desperation. Men, when their problem is fairness and the morality of society is so low, the psychological damage to survive, the psychological damage caused between your survival instinct and your morality goes out the window, and you'll pretty much become psychotic. You'll do anything to survive. But that's it. Men can't demand accountability from women. But women will drag society down. They will lounge about and say, oh, you dropped a sock on the floor. That's your responsibility. If she drops the sock on the floor, I cleaned the house. I'll get it later. They will pretty much whine when you even leave one cup or toilet seat up, or you start to get a bit old and you start to drip or drool, or you're 3 days behind on accounting, right? Can't balance your checkbook. The last check you wrote, oh, she wants to buy this, but she won't give me any money. I'm 3 days from payday. I'm going to have to post-date this to post-payday. Women just can't be told. They have to be fair. They have to back off. They have to take account for their own actions. Whether that is, you slept with him, you go live with him. No, they've always got to take and take and take as much as they can. Right? Again, this is a corruption of the basic survival instinct of the hunter-gatherer, where man, the hunter, woman, the gatherer, right, women would hoard and hoard and hoard. And we see this, that the more abundance there is, the more women hoard, and the more hoarding you do, the less social you become, and the less protective of you. See, this is where, again, women's survival instinct is the only barrier. So you start to see where the abundance in society, this fake wealth of this, a $300 handbag to make is $30,000, and that's capitalism when it's a woman. But again, if you spend $30,000 on a sports car, you're compensating for something. Isn't that right, little man? Or they call you Piggy. It doesn't matter exactly what the rules are. It's the fact that women refuse to grow. They refuse to comply with the rules they expect of everyone else. And they're not vocal with their rules. You have to figure them out. So any wonder why any one of these 20 events in your life is going to drive you to the point of walking away. And it has not just happened once or twice. Now, throughout history, normally what happens is you get married, you would have a good run, and you'd either get divorced or one of you would die. So there was no major incentive to get divorced. As we lived longer, as wealth accumulated, as laws changed because the greedy wanted their share, they created a divorce industry. And what happened is the divorce industry goes, no fault, because accountability, women don't want to go to court and say, he doesn't earn enough, or he's little floppy on the floppy disk side. You know, he's a little floppy on the. His hard disk don't spin so fast no more. It doesn't matter what it is anymore. Women think, because the abundance of choice gives them the illusion that they can just swing the vine forever. And they don't care if they have to pinch a man off someone else. That's why women target married men. Try it sometime. Look around and see how many women are eyeing the couple and wishing it was him and revving her motors every night. So this is the problem in society, and of course the response for men is the same historically. It's just never reached these numbers before. 25% of the world's population is walking away from women. And it's only going to get worse. Even as the demographics collapse, men are turning to different solutions. They're not turning to women, they're turning away from women. And that doesn't mean society's gay. It's many mgtow have said it. Until we restore rights, until we have control back, until we have rights. I don't want to impose my version of this on you. What do you think? Do you think mgtow is permanent walking away? Do you think it's a sex strike by men? Or it's a refusal to be used? Or do you think it's a combination? Which of the 20 of things have you experienced or witnessed in your life? Because I know from talking to many men already, it's a lot of people have told me, and I don't know if this is true for the couple of hundred people who may watch this, hopefully a couple of thousand. The channel is growing. But what I'm afraid of is missing a story that is important to you. Because I want to spread and share my experiences, but I also want to use my ability to research, to find answers, to help people while I can, to bring you the answers you want to begging questions. Because we are seeing men coming up with solutions to problems that, frankly, most people thought would never be a viable option. No one thought society would get this bad. Women have blackmail, pretty much engaged in sexual blackmail to get their way. And now men have just said, fine, you win, ha ha. And as they're walking away, women are on their knees crying. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please support the channel. You can support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my coffee mugs. More to come. I have more videos, more mugs to come. Appreciate each and every one of you. Also, don't forget my books. I really appreciate those who have bought my book. The Boyhood of Cain is just the first of many to come. And I know they are an acquired taste. They're deliberately confronting. They're eye-opening, to say the least. And that's a good thing. To spark the imagination, to get the brain cells going, to get the heart pumping. I'm shocking, to say the least. But I appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video, and bye for now.